Hey, what if I told you there was a subwoofer that blurred the lines between gear and high-end furniture, or between vintage sound and high technology? Would you believe me? Hi, I'm Bob, and you, my friends, are back in the United States of analog. Welcome, and before I lose you to another reviewer, let me tell you at the front that this is my review, my take on the REL Classic 98 subwoofer. And I think you're going to find what I find as you watch and listen, that this is really a cool piece of kit. Now, before we get to it, please do me a huge favor. If you like what I'm attempting to do here in my little workspace, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It would do me a world of good. It gives me confidence, self-confidence, something I didn't have as a kid. And let me know where you're viewing from. I keep track of that stuff. I have a little Google map and I put a little pin where you are. So let me know exactly where you're watching and commenting from. And please do comment below. Let me know what your favorite subwoofer is, or what subwoofer you're running in your system right now. Now let's take a look at the REL Classic 98 subwoofer as I tell you a little bit about it. The REL Classic 98 is designed and built in Wales, and that's in the UK. It features a 10-inch down-firing driver with a paper cone for that vintage sound signature that we all love. I love it. Real walnut veneer. We'll talk more about that. White gold silk knobs inspired by the German automotive industry. And it has beautiful curved edges. Inside is a digital amp pumping out 300 watts of power. There are 3 inputs on the back, a high-level speak-on input, and that cable is supplied. There's a single RCA low-end input and a single RCA LFE for home theater. There's a phase selector switch. You can also set the crossover and the amount of gain, the volume of the subwoofer, with knobs on the back. The 98 is statuesque and monolithic. It tops out at 18.5 inches tall, 13.75 inches wide, and 11.75 inches deep, and weighs in at 40 pounds. So thanks to my friends at Origin Hi-Fi in beautiful Austin, Texas, for loaning me the REL Classic 98 for a couple of weeks to evaluate. I really do appreciate it, and when you're in Austin, you should give them a visit. Now, if you've watched my channel for more than 5 hot minutes, you know that I can get a little bit insecure and confused when dealing with subwoofers. To confess, I haven't had many good subwoofers in my life over the years. I did have a REL Strata 3 for many years, and that was pretty cool, but it took a lot of finagling, a lot of reaching behind to adjust, and sitting down and standing up and then going back and adjusting and moving it around. It's a process. That's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of us love the process of hi-fi. But subwoofers can be confusing. They can be difficult to place, difficult to adjust. You're never quite sure if you're doing it right. Well, maybe I'm just speaking for me. Maybe you've got the magic ears that can hear the speed of a driver. I don't know if I can hear the speed of a driver. I know when a subwoofer sounds good in my system. I know when it's flabby or when it's tight. But it basically boils down to the fact that there are 2 different kinds of subwoofer customers. The first one, they just want the boom. You know, they just want to hear Tom Cruise smash through the sound barrier. They don't care so much about placement, crossover, LFE, and all the little fine adjustments that need to be made. Then you've got the subtechs who want to do it all, that want to spend days, weeks adjusting, moving, listening, adjusting some more, moving some more, listening some more until they get it right. I'm just a little insecure in my own audio abilities and maybe my own ears to really know when I've got it right. I think I do, but to me, the whole subwoofer game, despite what manufacturers say, is a little, if not a lot, subjective. I'll say at the very top, REL has delivered with the Classic 98, with everything from power to performance to speed. The only thing they really haven't delivered on is simplicity, all right? Now, this is where it's kind of humorous to me, because the manufacturer has pages and pages of documents online and video after video after video explaining how simple it is to set up a subwoofer. Okay, I think if it was really super simple, you wouldn't need all those pages and all those videos. You would just plug it in and it would be perfect. Again, this is not necessarily a bad thing. It's all part of the process, and I spent a good 2 weeks dialing in this subwoofer to where I thought, oh, it was the best subwoofer I've ever had in my home. Well, the first thing that's going to grab you right off the bat are the looks of the classic 98. It is a stunner, a beauty. In fact, you can't take your eyes off of it, which is a little odd in my case because it was off to the side of the room. So I was always looking over there, not optimal for, for soundstage listening. But the grain is beautiful. This is real walnut veneer. A lot of craftsmanship has gone into this cabinet, and the grain is deep. The color is beautiful. You can see here it is a nice complement to my KLIPSCH Fortes. May not complement your speakers, but it's complementing mine. It was the first time I thought in my head that maybe I should keep these. Stunning, beautiful, opulent, rich. So for my testing, I chose 3 records from the InGroove's Top 100 Analog Records You Should Own list. Thank you, Mike, for that. I have several of those records. Gerald Wilson Big Band is one that I chose. It's a great tone poet. That's called Moment of Truth. Kirsten Edkins, Shapes and Sounds. This one, the first release from Kevin Gray's label. One of my favorite albums of all time, Speaker's Corner, their pressing of Lou Reed's Transformer. I felt like these records would give me the whole spectrum of big band jazz, kind of intimate jazz, and a little bit of rock and roll. Equipment-wise, I was looking at my Technics SUG 700 digital amplifier, my more analog Macintosh MA252 hybrid amp. In the speaker department, KEF LS50 Metas, my KLIPSCH Forte 4s, of course, and the $400 Heiko 300. Yeah, Heiko 300. That's it. So a couple of those pieces of equipment, not my favorites over the years. The LS50 Metas, the Macintosh MA252, I don't know what that sound is. They've kind of fallen out of favor. So I wanted to see if they could benefit from the addition of the classic 98. So after watching all of REL's videos, and there are a lot, and reading the effing manual, I got to work listening to music. And the first thing I did was connect this speak-on cable, which isn't too difficult. If you're not too familiar, watch the videos, read the manual. You can do it, but to do it right, it requires you to remove a chassis screw and reattach a chassis screw because that's where the ground needs to go. There are other ways to connect it, but from my research, that is the optimum way to connect it. And the only issue I have with this, and it sounded very good, by the way, in all of its applications, as a person who listens to a lot of equipment, is it going to be a big hassle switching this cable every time? So I opted for the low-level input, the single-ended RCA input. And that kind of created another question. What do I do with my Technics amp and the 2 RCAs going out into the single RCA in? So, like any good American, I picked up the phone and called REL customer support, and they told me a Y adapter would be just fine, which kind of flies in the face of a lot of stuff I read online. A lot of people say that's not a good way to do it, but what do they know? So for me, listening to the 98 was a really, really nice experience after I took the 2 weeks to set it up. Now, you may not have to take that long. Again, with subwoofers, I'm always worried that I'm not doing it right. In the REL videos, they suggest the subwoofer should go behind your main speakers. That's really not possible with the Fortes. I'm kind of in a, well, I wouldn't say it's a tight spot, but those speakers are rather large, and they have the passive radiators in the back, and I really didn't want to put the REL back there. So I put it off to the side at about, I don't know, 2 o'clock in my listening position, to the right there, and that was fine. It may not be optimal. Again, there's a million places to put a sub. There's a million settings on the back. These are the settings after 2 weeks I finally landed on. Normally I would set my crossover at around 80, but with the Fortes, which I listen to the most, I dialed it back to about 60, and that seemed right for me. As far as the volume goes or the gain, I was pretty much at 12 o'clock on that beautiful white gold knob. I didn't touch it. I set it and forget it. And the subwoofer disappeared. And that's the first time in my experience I've had great subwoofer sound that I couldn't tell where it was coming from. The REL integrates the bass into the music beautifully. I kept kind of looking over to the REL to see if it was actually on. I wasn't quite sure, because normally I can get, you know, some kind of direction of the bass sound, but this thing integrated perfectly. It disappeared again. I was still looking at it because it was so beautiful, but the bass disappeared, everything integrated, and it expanded my soundstage. To be honest, the greatest combination was the Technics amplifier, the Forte speakers, my studio deck, turntable. Soundstage got so wide. I don't know all the technical reasons why a subwoofer helps your system, helps the other frequencies. I can only relate it to, like, the Bible, right? There's no good without evil. And so I guess there's no treble without bass. The more bass you have, the greater the frequency range, the more the mids and the highs stand out, the more the bass stands out. Everything just seems a little more full and beautiful. It opens up the sound stage. Again, there was no directivity of the bass sound. Is that the right word? I don't even know. And it had that deep bass, which is what you pay for. All in a vintage package in a beautiful look that's spouse friendly. It's going to get spouse approval, no doubt. Just don't tell them what you paid. Yes, the clarity is there. The speed is there, I suppose. It didn't feel flabby like some of the low-cost subwoofers I've used in the past, if that's an audiophile term, flabby. Everything just worked in harmony. I know there are more expensive subs out there. This sub retails for $1,400. That's still a lot of money. I prefer this sub over the T9X, just in looks and in sound. I think it's great. You can use it for movies, but I think this is a real rock and roll. This is a real music kind of subwoofer. You know, you want a big cube for movies. I do anyway. This, though, just complements my system. It augments the sound. It gives everything more structure, the sound more structure, more depth, more soundstage, everything. I can't say enough about it. It's the best subwoofer experience that I've had to date, and I'm going to do everything in my power to keep this speaker. With regard to my secondary setup, the LS50 Metas and the Macintosh MA252, the best I've heard that combination sound by using the REL Classic 98. It breathed new life into that system. I've always thought the Metas were a little too clean, and this just kind of opened everything up. It was the yin, the bass was the yin to the treble yang. I don't know if I'm explaining myself adequately here, because again, subwoofers are a mystery to me, but that equipment, which has fallen out of favor, did benefit significantly from adding the REL Classic 98. All right, it's time to wrap this puppy up. I'm sure I missed a lot, because I always miss a lot. I always do. But there's much more to read and to see about this beautiful speaker, this great sounding subwoofer. It's out there. Just research it. The price is right. The look is phenomenal. The sound is great. Just be prepared to spend a little bit of time with it, setting it up. This is not by any means AUT-O-matic, all right? It doesn't have an app. You're not going to be able to sit on your couch and dial in the sound. You're going to have to get up. You're going to have to exercise a little bit. It's like subwoofer jazzercise. You're going to be getting up, getting down, pressing buttons, turning knobs. It's all part of our wondrous hobby. So get the Classic 98 from REL. Enjoy it. You won't regret it. I'm going to try to keep it We'll see you next time on United States of Analog. And remember, let me know where you're from and tell me what subwoofer you like. Put it in the comments below. I'll see you next time. All right, Dylan, 2 things. What did I miss? I missed a few things. Anyway, I hope REL doesn't think I was digging at him. But they got a lot of videos telling me how simple it is. Oh, and the second thing, your allowance is canceled. I've got to pay for this speaker. Hey, could you pack everything up, dude?